Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Rad Power Bike's RadMini Step-Thru 2, so let's get into it. Before we get into the walk around, if you are looking to purchase any Rad Power Bike model, please consider using the link in the description before you make your purchase. That will take you to Rad Power Bike's website. It's a free and easy way to help support the channel and makes reviews like this one possible. Thanks in advance for your support. I will also put links to our electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page where I track all the deals on the electric bike brands that I follow. With that, let's get into the walk around of the RadMini Step-Thru 2. All right, let's get started with the walk around. And what better way to start the walk around of the RadMini Step-Thru is having it folded up in a tote. So one of the reasons that I wanted to show you the RadMini folded up in the tote is because I think this is a great way of transporting really any folding electric bike. I will put on the screen the dimensions of this tote. This one actually isn't that sturdy, but it gets the job done. You might be able to find one that's a little bit more heavy duty. Now you can see I took that out of our van. So we are in Florida right now, and one of the great things is we put 2 electric bikes on our rear rack of our 1UP Super Duty rack. We have the RadMini on there, and then a new e-bike from GT. Now, one of the challenges of where we're staying here is we just don't have a lot of room inside to bring both bikes for security purposes. So what I was able to do is bring this tote. We packed in the tote, and then once we got here, emptied the tote, put the RadMini in the tote, and then we've been storing it in the back of the van, and it's just worked out really awesome. Lots of people use these totes if they're RVers, and one of the great things is, of course, you can put this in the back of many different types of vehicles, and you don't have to purchase an expensive e-bike rated rack. And you can get a good idea of how the bike folds up. You can see we have the handlebars folded down, and then of course that pivot point on the frame. I'll give you a better look at that here in just a second. I'll go ahead and take the RadMini out of the tote here. One of the other great things about this tote is that this bike is very awkward to maneuver folded up, as you can see here. And so with the tote, you get the handles on each side. 1 or 2 people can pick it up, and that's what makes it really nice. And I'll point out on the RadMini, there is a little bit of a stand on the bottom here. So it has a resting point for that frame. Now I'll go ahead and unfold it just quickly, put the handlebars up, and then unfold the bike. This is something you can definitely get better at over time. When I'm folding the bike, I actually kind of use my knee here as a pivot point. So close the frame here. Really like this latch. And then you have this little safety here. Go ahead and close that. Make sure the safety's in place. And there we go. RadMini is all set up and ready to ride. I wanted to get the RadMini out of the shade so you could see it a little bit better. Now, as I'm going through all the components here, I will go through some of the third-party accessories that are on this electric bike. And of course, we have our electric bike accessories list if you want to check out other accessories you might want to purchase for your electric bike. Starting up here in the front, we have 180 millimeter Tektro mechanical disc brakes. Now, the Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes are found on all the models with the exception of the Plus models, and I find that they work just fine. It's actually a really common brake found on electric bikes, especially more affordable ones, and I find that they work pretty good. They're sometimes a little bit finicky to adjust compared to hydraulic, but definitely sufficient for most people. Let's move on to the tires. Now, one thing to note about this particular RadMini, while it is the current version that is being sold, it does have a different tire width here. So these are 20 by 4-inch tires. Now, Rad Power Bikes has more recently changed the tires that comes on the RadMini to 20 by 3 inches. And to be honest, I think that's actually a lot better. 4 inches is a little bit of overkill, and I find the 3-inch tires are really happy medium between being truly fat tires that have more rolling resistance while still providing some comfort. With those 3 inches, you can of course lower the pressure down to get a more comfortable ride. So really happy with the new tires that they're putting on. And I believe the tread on the new tires actually is a little less knobby than these, a little bit more set up for the street. Of course, tires are something you can easily replace if you'd like. One thing I really like about the RadMini, while it is currently priced at $14.99, does come with front and rear fenders, plastic fenders, definitely plenty of clearance. And let's go ahead and talk about this front light. More and more with electric bikes that I'm reviewing, I've come to appreciate this light from Rad Power Bikes. I really like the ring on the outside. Increases your visibility, and then of course you have a more standard light that you see on many electric bikes in the center for seeing a little bit better, and of course that helps you be seen as well on the road. Of course, I recommend if you're using your electric bike a lot, there's some really great rechargeable lights. You can use them in flashing mode during the day, and that's really going to alert motorists of your presence. I have those listed on our full electric bike accessories list. Another great thing about the RadMini is you do get front suspension. There is a preload adjustment as well as a lockout here over on the right side. I'll go ahead and push on the front suspension so you can get a little bit of an idea of what you can expect. Definitely going to add some comfort while going over bumps. And of course, with all Rad Power Bikes, you have the mounting points up here at the front, and you also have this nice Rad badge here. So you can add a front rack with a basket. Plenty of accessories that you can add up here, which I really like. Okay, let's talk about cable management. This is something that I think Rad Power Bikes could improve upon a little bit. Of course, you can buy some cable wrap if you'd like to make this look a little bit better, but there's simply just zip ties that bring these cables together. And I just like to point it out because it is nice when companies make them look really nice. Speaking of cables, I'll just show you where these cables come in at the bottom of what I'll call the down tube here of the RadMini frame. And here's the latch to fold down the handlebars nice and easy. Simply push the red button in and then these fold very easily, like so. And one other neat feature with the RadMini is there is an additional quick release here. You can actually see I have the handlebars raised a little bit, and you could go ahead and lower them down if you'd prefer, if you're a shorter rider, or you can raise them up if you'd prefer. So some additional adjustment there, which I really like. All right, let's move on to the cockpit. I already talked about the Tektro rotors. These are the Tektro brake levers. Feel really nice. Nice rubber padding here for your fingers, and of course the integrated bell, which I really like. Now on the RadMini Step-Thru 2, you get these really nice looking brown faux leather grips. They're a common component you'll find on, I believe, all the Rad Power Bikes models. If you're looking for an upgrade, I really like the locking grips from Ergon. I did a video about that, but these definitely look nice, though they aren't locking, so you might notice over time they tend to move a little bit. Also over here on the left, we have the controls. So if you press the mode button, that's going to go ahead and turn the LCD screen on. And then you have the plus and minus button for the pedal assist levels, all the way up to 5 and down to 0. Now, in order to turn the light on, you do need to hold the mode button and the pedal assist up button at the same time. And there is an indicator on the LCD screen. Very simple monochrome LCD screen here. We have 5 bars for battery capacity up here in the top left, odometer in the top right, current speed. I already showed you the pedal assist, and then you have the wattage output, which I really like to see. And if you hit the mode, you do have a trip odometer as well. So very basic display, but shows you all the information that you need, and it's actually pretty easy to read in the daylight. Not something that you can say about every display on every electric bike. And here we have my favorite Night Eyes Raptor cell phone holder, very simple, but I've been using this for years on many electric bikes. I use it in my reviews, so that is an accessory that does not come with this bike. Moving on to the right side, we have this Shimano 7-speed thumb shifter, definitely a basic component, but of course we always like to see name brands with Shimano. And I personally prefer the trigger shifters, but to be honest, this works just fine. You use your thumb up here to shift down, and then your thumb down here shifts gears up higher. On the right side, we have this kind of half faux leather grip, and of course that is to accommodate the right hand twist grip throttle. I really like twist grip throttles. I think it's what most people prefer, but there are people who do like the thumb throttles. I just find that these are a little bit easier to hold on to if you're using them. It's a little bit more comfortable if you're going to be using your throttle very often. And these handlebars aren't quite completely straight. They have a little bit of a sweep to them, as you can see there. Moving on to the rest of the bike, we have the Ride Rad, really like that. And of course, the orange branding here, Rad Power Bikes. I think it looks really sharp. And then down here, the RadMini Step-Thru 2 marking. And we do have bottle cages here, which I actually think is a pretty good location. You do need to keep in mind, if you're really utilizing the lowest point here, you do want to be mindful if you put a bottle cage here. But if you wanted to, you could put a folding lock that attaches to bottle cage bosses. But overall, a good location, easy to grab when you're out on a ride. Let's move on to the pedals. These are not the pedals that come on this electric bike. These are some Rock Brothers pedals that actually look pretty nice, made out of aluminum, but you will receive metal folding pedals on this electric bike. But as you just saw when I was unfolding the bike, I was still able to fold it with these pedals, though you just have to be a little bit more careful. Something to keep in mind is the folding pedals just have a little less surface area. So if you're finding that your feet are slipping off, you definitely look at some aftermarket pedals, and you actually can find some bigger than this as well. Next, we have the battery. This is a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery. It's the Shark style. Rad Power Bikes has been using this battery for quite some time. And what I really like about the battery placement on this is it's super easy to remove. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky depending on the Rad Power Bikes model, but since you're just lifting up, it is pretty easy to remove this battery, though you do need to be mindful of the quick release on the seat post here. Since we're here, let's talk about the saddle. This is not the stock saddle that comes with any Rad Power Bikes model, but it is one that I highly recommend. It's on our electric bike accessories list. Really any of the Cloud 9 seats, just depending on your preference, how wide you want to go. Definitely a comfortable seat, and of course it is personal preference on whether you want to upgrade. The one that comes with this bike is pretty basic, so up to you. But a saddle is definitely something I see a lot of people upgrade no matter what electric bike that they purchase. And you'll note that the components are all external on the RadMini. You can see the controller is actually mounted to the rear of the seat tube here. We have a nice sturdy kickstand in the rear, and of course it's not going to come in contact with the pedals. That's something that's really common these days on electric bikes. You're not going to have any pedal lock. There's a closer look at the Tektro Aries disc brakes in the rear, and we do have a torque arm here in addition to that bolt to help keep that wheel secure. There's some additional branding. You can see that this bike has actually been used a little bit. And we have the plastic rear fender here, as well as the optional accessory. This is the RadMini rear rack. If you're looking for some additional cargo capacity, you can consider this. I actually think the orange looks really sharp on this electric bike. All right, let's move on to the rear of the bike. So this is the integrated tail light. To be honest, during daylight, it is very difficult to see. I really hope that Rad improves their rear lights when they upgrade some of their models. I've definitely seen some better ones on the market. So perhaps you might want to purchase a rechargeable rear light as well if you want to be seen a little bit better on the road. Okay, moving on to the other side of the bike. So let's talk about this freewheel. 11 to 34 teeth back here. And what I really like is a lot of times you'll see like 14 to 28 teeth. I really like the range, particularly on the high end with that 11 tooth. I don't find that we need the lower gear nearly as much. And for a derailleur, we have Shimano Altus. Again, a decent component found on many electric bikes in this price range. Gets the job done. It does have a barrel adjuster here, so you can adjust it if needed. And back here, we also have the 750 watt geared hub motor. I personally find that they are plenty capable, though you will find motors that peak much higher, that are much more powerful. So if you're looking for a little bit faster acceleration, you might want to look at some other electric bike brands. But in my opinion, for most people, this motor is plenty capable. I really like that Rad includes this neoprene chainstay protector, going to keep that frame looking nice from any chain slap. And up front here, we have a 48-tooth dual-sided chainring. Really like the dual-sided, just offers some additional protection, and perhaps your pants won't get as greasy from that chain. And finally, I wanted to highlight this latch. Definitely one of the nicer ones I've seen on folding electric bikes. As I shared with you, you simply lift this up. This is kind of a safety, and then pull it towards you. And then, of course, this unlatches from the rear, and you can fold this electric bike. And to latch it, just the opposite. Attach that piece. A little bit tricky to do here with one hand. And then make sure that is in position as well. All right, that concludes the walk around of the RadMini Step-Thru. Let's get to some first-person riding footage, and we'll see what this motor can do. All right, let's get started with the first-person riding footage on the RadMini. We'll start with throttle only here. Again, class 2 electric bike. Got the GPS speed to compare with the Rad speed. There's 17, 18, 19, and we're hitting the 20 miles per hour according to the Rad screen. And there it is on the GPS as well. And of course, we're not on smooth pavement. We have the air pressure down a little bit. And of course, these tires are a little bit wider than the ones that come on the current RadMini. But what I wanted to highlight with this first-person riding footage, beyond just talking about the pedal assist and throttle only, is just this is kind of the perfect place where you could take the RadMini out doing some slight off-roading. Obviously, this is not mountain biking. We've got a wide trail here, but it just shows the versatility. Again, you got the front suspension on the RadMini. You got the more balloon tires. You can lower the pressure. Super comfortable riding on trails like this, so no problem with that at all. And really like that about the RadMini, the versatility, or any fat tire e-bike really. All right, now let's go into the various pedal assist modes. I'll go down to pedal assist 1 here, and I am in the highest gear right now and definitely working quite a bit. I would imagine most people would want to shift down a little bit. 5th gear here, slightly easier. But let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 2. Now, I've said this in many of my Rad reviews, but what I really like is just the power delivery in the various pedal assist modes. Very accessible, definitely a good entry point into an electric bike if you haven't ridden one before. So this feels pretty good. I would maybe shift up to 6th gear, but pedal assist 2 and 5th gear, pretty leisurely cadence here. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. Again, feel the motor kick on just a little bit more. We were going about 12 miles an hour. Now we're going 14 or so. And at this point, I would really want to shift up here. 6th gear and probably even 7th. We tend to ride our electric bikes in the highest gear, get a little bit more of a workout. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 4. Get a little bit more power here. This trail is pretty flat. There's 15, 16 miles an hour. And if I go ahead and go into pedal assist 5, should get pretty close to that 20 miles an hour, or hit 20 miles per hour rather. And there it is on the GPS, 20 miles an hour. So just going through all those pedal assist modes should give you a little bit of an idea of the speeds that you can expect. You know, pedal assist 5 really hitting that 20 miles per hour. And of course, it just depends how fast you want to go, how much you want to conserve your battery. And of course, you always have the throttle if you need it. And we've just really been enjoying the trails out here. Just super awesome riding. Got the sun shining, and it feels so good to be in Florida. Now, what I would normally do in my videos is I would take you to the hill climb footage, but unfortunately I'm not going to be able to do that on the RadMini given I'm in Florida. So what I would recommend you do if you're looking at a RadMini Step-Thru or the High Step is check out our Rad Runner 2 review. Again, most of the Rad power bikes share the same motor. And so if you watch the Rad Runner 2 footage, I take up the Rad Runner 2, the steep hill that I test out almost all of our electric bikes on, and that should give you a little bit of sense of the power with throttle only. Definitely plenty powerful electric bikes in my opinion, but that clip will give you a little bit better idea. I'll put a link in the top right-hand corner of your screen, and hopefully that helps you get an idea of how these bikes handle hills. Now, of course, keep in mind with the RadMini, you do have gears, so you can really shift down on those hills. So in my opinion, you shouldn't worry at all about the RadMini taking it up hills. I think it's plenty powerful. Perhaps if you live on a mountain or something, you might want to go with a mid-drive electric bike. But these motors, while they peak at 750 watts, still plenty capable. All right, with that, let's get to some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the RadMini Step-Thru. It's pretty tricky these days to keep tabs on e-bike prices since they are always changing, but as I record this in February 2022, the RadMini is, in my opinion, the best value e-bike in the Rad fleet at $14.99. In fact, it's cheaper than a majority of the Rad lineup. The Rad Mission is priced at $11.99, and then both the RadMini and the Rad Runner 2 are priced the same. I even did an in-depth video comparing the Rad Runner 2 and RadMini, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. So what makes the RadMini the best value Rad power bike? You get the same sized 14 amp hour battery found on every Rad power bike, a 750 watt peak motor, fenders, and the front suspension. Plus it has gears, utilizes the tried and true Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes, comes with integrated lights, and of course, it folds. You might even be able to get away with not having to buy an expensive e-bike rated rack if you take your Mini on the go. And remember, just because this e-bike can fold doesn't mean you should cross it off your list if you never intend to fold it up. There's also a high-step version of the RadMini, but the Step-Thru, in my opinion, is superior, not only in accessibility, but also in looks. The RadMini Step-Thru is Rad's most accessible e-bike in the fleet according to their size chart, accommodating riders all the way down to 4 feet, 10 inches tall. And even if you're taller like me, the RadMini will also work. I'm 6 feet tall and still was able to get full leg extension. The smaller 20-inch wheels also help with the accessibility, and I'm happy to see Rad decreased the width just slightly of these tires. The 3-inch tires are really a sweet spot in my opinion and perform both well on the street or even on some trails. I am also partial to this frame design compared to other folding e-bikes. I just think Rad nailed it with this design and it feels solid when riding it. And while the rear rack is smaller on the RadMini compared to the other models, you still have the option to use the small or large basket for cargo capability, and if you need even more cargo space, you can add the front rack. Note that while the Thule Maxi seat you see here does technically fit on the rear rack, it is not recommended for use on the RadMini. And to be honest, it didn't work that well either. Due to the shorter wheelbase, your feet can easily hit the rear seat, which is obviously a safety hazard. So if you're planning on hauling kids, check out the other Rad Power Bikes models. The RadMini might just be the e-bike I recommend the most out of the Rad Power Bikes fleet. It's a great e-bike for those who are new to e-bikes or perhaps haven't been on a regular non-electric bike in years. It's also a big hit in the RVer crowd. Let me know if you agree in the comment section below, and if you're looking to purchase a Rad Power Bike, use that link in the description to help support the channel. Thanks in advance, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.